So this summer we'll be kicking off celebrating the bicentennial of Lafayette's 1824 tour, retracing every single one of his steps for 13 months from August of 2024 to September of 2025. Along the way there'll be recreations of celebrations, lectures, educational programs to help further Lafayette's ideals of liberty and equality for everyone worldwide. So it was actually quite a politically divisive time, and what made Lafayette's arrival so unique is that he was something that brought people together. Because he did not ascribe to one political party, he belonged to all of America, and people turned out in the hundreds of thousands for him. Along the way, people were his route. Shops that were waiting for him to arrive were selling memorabilia. There were Lafayette ribbons you could wear. You could get gloves with his face on it. You could get pottery and drinking ware with his face on it. In smaller towns, especially in Virginia, the number of people who came out to see him outnumbered the recorded population of the time, indicating that this is one of the first mentions of tourism in American history, where people are traveling outside of their homes, which is not common in the 19th century, for an event. Just the hope of maybe even seeing him pass by in a carriage. And that kind of impact that a person had on the American nation at the time is something that we have not really seen since. So in October of 1824, Lafayette had visited the city of Alexandria, which is just north of here, and he sailed down the Potomac here to Mount Vernon with the intention of visiting this spot right behind us. This is the old tomb at Mount Vernon where George Washington was originally interred. Lafayette was greeted by members of the Custis family, Martha Washington's grandchildren, George Washington's step-grandchildren, where they escorted him up here where he was able to pay his last respects to George Washington, the man he really viewed as his father figure throughout the Revolution and beyond. Lafayette and Washington's relationship was incredibly unique. Lafayette was orphaned before the age of 13, leading him to become one of the wealthiest men in France, but his father had died when Lafayette was only 2. When he comes to America at the age of 19 and he meets Washington, he sees in Washington this emblematic figure, this person that he wants to embody, this father figure, essentially. In turn, Washington, who did not have biological children of his own, really sees something in this as an adopted son in Lafayette. When they meet in Philadelphia in 1777, Washington is not immediately over enthused with Lafayette. There had been a lot of French officers who had come through and wanted titles, wanted money. But the thing that really changes in their relationship is when Lafayette says to Washington, "I am here to learn, not teach." And that kind of flips a switch. And it's like, oh, maybe this kid really does want to help. And it turns out he did. And he improved in skill. He donated funds. He did really everything he could for the selfless matter, as this America was not his country, but he wanted to help further the cause of liberty. Washington died in December of 1799, so Lafayette knew he'd be returning to an America that Washington no longer lived in. When he comes to Mount Vernon on October 17th of 1824, this is the stop. This is the place where Washington was originally interred before being moved to the new tomb in 1831. Lafayette enters the tomb first alone to pay his respects. When he comes out, the George Washington Parke Custis, who is Washington's step-grandson, presents Lafayette with a ring with a lock of Washington's hair enclosed into it, to which Lafayette emotionally accepts, and then Lafayette asks his own son, who was traveling with him, along with his personal secretary, to join him and to pay their respects to Washington in the tomb behind me.